right, welcome to the Two Sons Podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great week. Shogun Day.
Shogun Day.
Episode 1 of Shogun. Luke and I actually just watched it together. Holy shit, man.
Dude,
that was awesome.
I know. I feel like I know what's going on, but I couldn't tell you about it because I don't know anybody's name.
So I'm going to give you my quick little elevator pitch of what I think is kind of the setting of this. It actually there's so many similarities to some of the political dynamics that were taking place in Game of Thrones, which I want to get to kind of more towards the end because I want to focus on this show to start with. But it seems to me there was a leader. Mm-hmm. This leader that passed away, and he's got an heir. The heir is too young. Okay, so there's these 5 guys that are in charge, presumably of chunks of Japan.
Yeah, okay.
like pieces of land. And our main character, Lord Toranaga, he's clearly in charge of Kanto, which is a specific region of Japan, right? And it looks to me like there's one guy, the bad guy. This I'm assuming let's see. Yeah. First of all, up front, we're gonna try really hard to pronounce the names correctly. If we butcher them, I promise it's not intentional. Lord Ishido is the bad guy.
Okay.
And there's this elderly lady that we meet later on, and I think she's specifically talking to Lord Toranaga, and she basically says
she's the pseudo nun chick, right?
I don't know what her actual role is.
I feel like she was holding a rosary, but I couldn't make it out.
Oh, okay.
And then she had a weird veil on.
Yeah, and there's lots of Catholic stuff that's happening.
There's a lot of everything.
There's a lot of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
But she seems to be the wise woman who kind of has been around for a long time, who knows all the stuff. And she's pretty much this Lord Ishido guy is going to kill you. And then he's going to kill the other 3 lords. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to kill the heir.
Oh, she said that he was going to kill the other 3 too.
Yeah. That was what she was getting at. So the way I interpreted the layout of the show is we have these 5 lords that are basically have been asked by the passed away leader guy to basically be to
friendly.
Rule peacefully and friendly until his heir comes of age. But it looks like this Lord Ishido guy very much wants to kill Lord Toranaga, then kill the other 3 lords, then kill the heir. That's what the old lady predicted.
Okay.
She predicted that's what's going to happen.
The guy seems like an a-hole, so yeah, I believe you on that.
Yes. And so we have this opening scene where Lord Toranaga actually shows up to Osaka, and he's there to meet with the lords. Yeah. And all 4 of them are there.
He's clearly on trial, essentially. It's 4 versus 1.
They clearly had intel that he took the presumably the heir's mother. Mm-hmm. That he kind of took her. Yeah. But I didn't get that. It seems to me like he's so loyal to the country and loyal to the guy who passed away that he's willing to do whatever it takes to kind of protect the heir. And
for sure,
I think that kind of extends to the mother.
Yeah.
That was kind of but the lords definitely don't interpret it that way. They took it as a hostage situation where we'll take this girl so that when I go visit Osaka, you can't kill me and we have leverage. That was kind of the way I interpreted it.
Agreed. I 100% agree with you.
But then there's this underlying political dynamic, which is basically the Portuguese Catholics showed up.
Yes.
And presumably with their guns.
Wait, I thought the Protestants.
No, they showed up a long time ago, I mean.
Okay.
So they showed up.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
So the way I interpret it.
Ask me if I love the show. I love the show.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's dope.
That's the episode. We'll see you next week.
So the way I interpret it is at some point in the past, the Portuguese Catholics showed up with all their guns and cannons and stuff, and basically kind of colonized Japan. Okay,
yeah,
and they've kind of put a foothold down. They've clearly kind of found a way to kind of force their religion on a certain portion of the populace. They're clearly doing a lot of economic work there to try to profit on the land.
Right.
And they're very established.
And it's secret, right? They're trying to keep the land
and no one's found out about this. Yeah. But clearly, this John Blackthorne guy, who was working under a captain who just shot himself in the head right in the opening scene.
Just terrible scurvy.
just a gnarly case of scurvy.
Scurvy makes your gums bleed and it makes you shoot yourself in the head.
We're watching the show and I look at Luke and I'm like, so what's scurvy? And he's like, it's never walked into clinics.
Yeah, I've never treated scurvy, believe it or not. But now, I can definitely treat your scurvy.
Yeah, exactly.
Toss you an orange. Eat this.
So basically, that captain kills himself. Blackthorne, we find out at the end of the first episode from our favorite Spaniard, this Rodriguez guy.
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez basically finds like a pamphlet which has their mission statement in it.
Yeah.
In addition to like a book that presumably they referred to it as a I can't remember the exact word they used, but it was a word that clearly meant like kind of like map without saying map, but basically was like navigational instructions for how to get through Magellan's Pass or whatever to get through to Japan. And so they somehow came across one of these. I don't know if they stole it or if someone gave it to them or whatever it is, but they came across one of these and they took 5 ships with like hundreds of men to just go to Japan and basically like wreak havoc on the Catholics.
Yeah.
Like they just basically wanted to take away the Portuguese colonization of Japan so that they could colonize
exactly.
Japan. That
and
was
then,
the way
and
I
then start
interpreted
up merchant routes with
them.
them.
Exactly. Basically, like they're like, whatever you're doing to profit on this situation, we want to profit on it, and we're willing to kill to do so, right? And so and then there's like there's like a bunch of these like now they don't refer to them as Catholics in Japan, they refer to them as Christians, but like you could tell a lot of the established dudes don't really like the Christians either.
Yeah, it's definitely new, right? It's like the whole entire like concept of like Christianity is obviously very new, and you're right. I think them calling the established Catholics in Japan's Christians is important to the whole entire scheme of the show, because those Christians only know Catholicism, right, and not Protestants.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So
which fundamentally is different, I would suppose, at least in that era.
It's still very different. Yeah.
Do you want? Yeah, we can get into the
As a Catholic, I can tell you it's different.
So, but one of the things that was so funny off the top was like they like there's this immediate dynamic in the show where like no one speaks the same language.
Oh, it's so funny.
And so like everyone's just talking shit to each other's faces, like, you fucking bum, like fuck you, you savage.
And then they like bow as they're doing it.
They're all just saying it like right to each other's face, and yet like everyone's getting away with that scene at the beginning where the English dudes are in the like little jail cell thing, and the Japanese dude, and they're both calling each other savage.
Yeah,
like they're just
at the exact same time.
Yeah, look at these guys. They're just complete savages, and they're just like both saying that to each other. Just such a great example of just like how like people just inherently respond to cultural differences by getting like super defensive. And, like,
no, you're totally right. And then just judging the other people they don't even know.
Oh yeah. It's like our worst tendency as human beings.
Probably.
Like we just immediately get.
Oh, you're different. I hate you.
Like, yeah, screw you.
Are you a weirdo?
But I thought the cinematography was unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's this epic feel from the opening scenes, like that the scene where we see Lord Toranaga kind of walking through the field, and then the peregrine falcon comes down and like
so cool.
and kills that bird. Like there's just like everything about it. And I've always been a big fan of period pieces in general, just because I think there's like a certain art in movie making when it comes to trying to capture a different era.
Yeah.
And like I went to Japan this summer and I spent a week there. And Japan in particular, they cherish their history so much that like so much of that culture that you see in this show is still very prominently displayed in Japan to this day. Like all the shrines that I went to go see, they look a lot like the buildings and the layouts that you see in the show.
That's so
and like
cool.
It honestly was super, super cool. I as soon as the first episode ended, I was like, I cannot wait for the next
I'm
episode.
so stoked. They've done such a good job. So, and I'm not talking trash, but like if you compare this to, let's say, a Mission Impossible, which we did, which we did a review on or a reaction on, how just worlds apart different are these two media, compared to each other. Like Shogun so far is just beautifully crafted, and it is like you're talking about, it's just really fun to watch, like let alone an amazing plot underneath it all. It's just super fun to watch, and it's like the way that they have the banter between each of the characters is incredible. Like Rodriguez is my boy. Like, I'm already team Rodriguez.
Rodriguez is super cool. And like I love that part where he's in the hammock in the ship, and he's just like, I'm gonna rat you out as soon as we get there, just so you know, like in all fairness.
Well, but then he followed it
up.
Don't
try anything.
No. But then he followed it up with this incredible speech about the powers who are leading Japan and how like cunning they are and how smart they are. and how the society of Japan doesn't need an outside world to be lucrative or successful. Like, and then he also talked about, he's like, dude, maybe there's something here for you. Like if you put aside your bull crap, if you put aside this mission that you think you're on, maybe there's this incredible world for you. And like it just set the tone of the show so beautifully.
Yeah, Rodriguez clearly is like a huge fan of Japanese culture and things.
Yeah, he's enjoyed it.
And basically was I thought the exact same thing. I thought he was basically trying to get John Blackthorne to like, hey, dude, like stop being a douchebag for a second.
There's a bigger world,
and like try to just appreciate like what you're kind of walking into here. It very clearly appears to be heading towards some sort of civil war. Which, if I'm not mistaken, and for the record, like I don't want to overdo the research piece on this because this has been a book. This has been, if I'm not mistaken, it's been in other forms of media as well. I would prefer it if you and I just kind of like took it in as newbies.
I'll do my best.
Yeah, try. Dude, we'll try. We'll try.
No, and like no, I'm gonna do my best. I'll wait to do my research until after the show's over.
Yes, no, and that's where I'm at too. Because
Yeah.
I would love to dig more into the history behind it too. But like, for those of you guys who listen to this show, we are going to be covering it as newbies through the first.
And we're gonna butcher everything.
Yeah, there's gonna be butchering. I'm gonna be like, that guy's gonna do this, and it's gonna be like, that's not what happens.
Yeah, yeah, and just like if we say something incorrect, please just forgive us. Like Jason and I are good people. We'll do our best. We're well-meaning idiots. Okay.
I'm super fascinated by just like the intense like honor laden culture that they have.
Yes.
That scene the scene where the man has that he has a basically, so Lord Tornaga is being like clearly disrespected by these lords,
right?
And they're clearly scheming against him behind the scenes. And one of his loyal subjects like jumps up and kind of has an outburst.
It just couldn't handle it.
And then he goes like, I will kill myself and my whole family. Please let me.
And everyone's like, yeah, dude, we know you're going to do that. No big deal.
Yeah.
And Jay and I are just like, what the hell just happened?
Oh, dude. And then the mother's like about to slit her own throat.
My gosh.
Like, oh my gosh. That was intense.
Dude, there was a lot of really intense parts. If we're talking about intensity, how about the one where the guy's trying to talk to Blackthorne in the street and then just gets his head lopped off.
Oh yeah,
for no good reason.
Presumably a Christian dude who was just coming up to like, I don't know,
like, hey,
exchange Christian pleasantries.
I know.
And it's
Hi,
like,
hello,
how dare
brother.
you exchange Christian pleasantries?
Just like head off. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
A man got boiled alive.
How would you handle that situation if you're being boiled? So that
I would
sucks
scream
because
and
the water wasn't warm. The water was like barely warm, I presume, when it started. So that was, for lack of a better term, like a slow burn.
Yes,
if you will.
Yes, it was. Yes,
quite
that
literally
would qualify as a slow burn.
I think I'd drown myself or knock myself out on the side of like the giant witch cauldron before I could be boiled.
You mentioned that, and honestly, like it would be a really, really tough decision to make. I would think that that would be way less painful than boiling to death.
Dude, but at the same time though, like I feel like your nerves only have so much to give. Like I feel like you'd probably pass out.
I think so too. I think you'd scream and then you'd pass out and then you'd die.
And then you'd drown.
So to answer your question, what I would do if I was boiled alive, I would screm and then I would die. That's what I would happen. That's what would happen.
It's pretty freaking lame. That's pretty lame of you, Jay.
I don't know what shot in the head at the beginning. That happened too.
Oh yeah, he shot himself in the head.
Luke had this funny take.
Oh, and then
watching.
The mom is giving up her baby to be killed by the dad, who's then going to kill himself. Like what?
Yeah, that was intense. That was really, really intense. So Luke had this hilarious take when we were watching it live. He's like, what if like one of the lords went bald and like had to do like the weird back knot thing, and then basically just went to all the people underneath him and was like, you guys got to do it too.
And they're like, hey, we don't want to do this. This isn't cool. And he's like, no, it's really cool. I'm not doing it because I'm actually balding. I'm just doing it because it's cool. Meanwhile, I'm just watching my hairline leave me. As soon as I was 28, it was like, all right, like peace.
So, Game of Thrones similarities.
Yeah, I'm sure there's tons.
Literally, the Game of Thrones series starts with what's called the War of the Five Kings, which we are in a situation here with five lords. It also begins with Ned Stark, a good leader of men, going down
noble
and visiting King's Landing, where he gets executed. And it's very clear that Lord Tornaga's people believe that when he went to Osaka, he basically signed his own death sentence. Like he's going to go there and get killed.
Right.
Which, by the way, like that's a Game of Thrones thing. It's like Stark men don't do well when they travel south. That was like a big kind of theme throughout the show. In general, like weird like traditions and weird, I should say, like what's the word I'm looking for like being obsessed with watching people die? Like creepy, like
not fetish, right?
Yeah.
Well,
like weird obsessions and weird likes and dislikes. I don't know how else we want to put it.
You're talking about Toranaga's brother.
Toranaga's brother.
Yabushige. Yabushige.
He's obsessed with the moment of death, and and he had this moment after where he said like it was very inarticulate, is what he said.
It's like, yeah, dude, you just boiled.
Yeah, it's like
you just boiled.
Yeah, he was clearly disappointed. He's like, I can't believe it. All he did was like scream and die.
Yeah,
I mean, like I was.
What would you do?
What did you
think?
Yeah. By the way, can you read me a poem? Can you make a poem about this man?
And he's like, oh yeah, that was a good poem. Let's eat some sushi for breakfast.
Good shit, bro. Yeah. So like that part kind of reminded me of Game of
weird
Thrones a
sex
bit.
Stuff.
Weird sex stuff.
Yeah,
that's a staple.
like a keystone of Game of Thrones.
So yeah, and honestly, one of the things I appreciated about it is there was some action in the show, but like I've always, to your point about Mission Impossible, like there's a point where shows kind of rely on action for the sake of action.
Yeah.
And I think it takes away from the story. This is very, very story laden, which I've really appreciated. And I'm sure there will be some big battle scenes and things along those lines.
Well, and I like, so there's shows that do shocking things just for the hell of it. And I think that's incredibly annoying. Like when you're watching a movie and something shocking happens and you're just like, that was grotesque and disgusting and had no point other than just to be shocking. Like, The shocking parts of this series so far were incredibly important and added a ton to the actual storyline.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty impressive and hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like I think that like I think we can all agree that like killing your child and yourself is like a really aggressive way to handle a situation. But that's the thing is like in every single culture, there are really, really, really dark things. God knows our culture has some fucking atrocities in it. And so it's one of those things where like, sometimes I think it helps to like be honest and to portray those things in a way that kind of forces us to kind of face the realities, because like we have to face our ugliness, if that makes sense. Totally. And like to your point, like there was no violence for the sake of violence. It was very much to try to demonstrate, like even like just the behavior of the Catholics and the Protestants, like from that one dude who like, here's this prisoner, this guy that's been trapped at sea forever. As soon as he identified him as a Catholic, he was like, kill this man, he's evil, like he's pirate.
Oh, you mean a Protestant?
Like,
you mean a Protestant?
Like, yeah,
the priest.
Yeah, the priest guy, and it's like that's awful human behavior.
That's terrible human behavior.
Yeah.
By the way, I've yet to meet a priest like that. But I'll see.
There's some bad ones out there.
Oh, there has been. Oh, and there is. Yes, I'll be the first to tell it.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode.
Yeah, very interesting.
Like I said, we're not going to dig. We will do when we're done with the season. We'll do like an episode where we really dig into the history and try, but like for the sake of just us being, content consumers here, we'll just
ride it out like a bunch of idiots.
Take it in stride.
Yeah.
We have next week. Luke and I are gonna be meeting up early in the week. We're gonna record Mr. and Mrs. Smith episode 4.
Yep.
And then also,
dude, I'm excited for you to see that one, because the whole entire time I'm just thinking like, what are you doing? Like, stop doing what you're doing. It's a train just headed towards like
disaster.
A railroad without any more railroad and a cliff. And so I'm very curious to see how you feel about that. And then we're going to double up on Bad Batch. So Bad Batch 4.
Yeah, Bad Batch 4 was a little bit of a filler episode.
Dude, you said that. I don't think it was, but we'll save it for next week.
We'll save it. Well,
yeah. It was one of my favorite episodes of Bad
eventful,
Batch.
But yeah, it was a good episode.
It was literally one of my favorites.
But we'll cover Bad Batch 4 and 5 next week as well. Yeah. As always, we appreciate you guys for supporting the show, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks a lot.